quest for new methods from 1950s to 1960s. That's one of the key aspects of the journey from syllabus design to language curriculum design. So, the quest, the very word, pursuit, and the debates about methods. I mean, the applied linguists were really concerned. I mean, which method could be suitable, whether it's communicative or direct method or grammar translation method. So they were really intrigued by the notion of the suitability of method for language teaching, which could enhance, language input for the learners. So there was a pursuit, there was an effort like to find out a method which could offer a remedy for language teaching for general purposes then. Right. So the reason was if, for example, one method was not suitable, the other method could be more suitable. For example, if grammar translation was too much, it emphasized on teaching through rules, and therefore it paved the way for example, direct method teaching, language through direct techniques. Right. So Darian, one of the key applied linguists, holds this approach was perfect one. The exercises used in different methods, for example, the situational method or what we call direct method. I mean, that was okay. There was no problem with the exercises, but what was the problem then? Problem was the language was taught out of its context. For example, this is a pen. Students would repeat, this is a pen. Is there any context? I'm just inviting you to think, is there any context for using this particular expression? This is a pen, this is a pen. So that was a kind of repetition, habit formation. So, and it's important to briefly see what were the reasons that resulted in the pursuit to best method. The need for English for practical purposes was felt after the Second World War, and when there was a influx of immigrants from different parts of the world to the Anglophone countries, for example, America, and specifically England and Australia. So, and another was like trade and commerce was widely, gaining ground. And then the spread of media gradually from radio to film to television. So English is assumed as a position, a status of communication. I mean, it was felt the need of the hour just to learn English. So that was the reason that people were looking for a systematic way to teach language, because grammar translation method wasn't enough to satisfy the needs of the learners then. Okay. So, and it was for the first time that people, especially the applied linguistics, they started realizing to know the understanding or the nature and processes of language teaching. So for this purposes, initially, language was like thought to be taught well through habit formation, and in many, in many other countries, for example, India, Singapore, and even Pakistan, language was taught through literature, and it was taught if the students are exposed to the specific literature of the target language, they could learn well. And and it was assumed, right, reading could be a core to language learning. And that was then the use of bilingual dictionaries was, employed. Okay, and because of the pursuit to find out a suitable method for language teaching, we saw the emergence of audiolingualism. We will see this audiolingualism in depth in our later sessions, but that was the main influence. And the influence was that to teach English through repetition. And if the repetition is undertaken, students will form habits. And obviously, emphasis was laid on avoiding mistakes while learning English. Okay, and that was why, language learning was seen as a habit-forming process. And because of the pursuit to find out a suitable method, new trends emerged. And one of the predominant trends was teaching English for general purposes. Okay, and then we saw the emergence of some other trends, and that was, as I've already said, that was an era when television production and commerce and trade were done, and people were using English for communicative purposes. So that was why the need for English for commercial usage and English for technical purposes. So these trends actually took place in the earlier parts of the 20th century.